After years of watching the films and dreaming about stepping into that world, day 6 of our world trip brought us here, to the Warner Brothers studio tour of London, the making of Harry Potter. And as you can see from Laurie's smile, we were already feeling the magic before we even walked through the doors. Before we even got through the doors, we found Harry was already in trouble. Listed as the Undesirable No. 1, it's a brilliant little photo stop and a reminder that by the later films, Harry isn't just a student at Hogwarts anymore. He's on the run and the Ministry have turned against him, and then the whole story has taken a much darker turn. Just inside the entrance, we got our first little reminder of where Harry's story began, with the Dursleys, of course. But this was only a teaser, because once we moved further into the tour, we came to one of the most famous sets of all, number 4, Privet Drive, and the cupboard under the stairs. This is where Harry's story really begins. Not in a castle, not on a broomstick, but tucked away in a cupboard. It's such a small, ordinary looking space, but it carries so much of the story. From here, one letter from Hogwarts changes everything, and Laurie actually got one later. Near the entrance, one quote really stayed with us. No story lives unless someone wants to listen. And this tour reminds you that Harry Potter came to life not only because of the incredible people who made the films, but also because of all of us, the fans who watched, listened, believed, and kept the magic alive. And if the wanted posters in the cupboard under the stairs hadn't already pulled us in, the giant dragon above Laurie certainly did the job. Once we were past the tickets, the atmosphere changed straight away. The walls were lined with memories from later films, and you could feel the story getting darker and more dramatic as we moved closer to the main tour. It was a clever way to build the excitement before the doors opened. Then came that lovely moment where the crowd started moving forward, and through the lights and floating candles we got our first real glimpse of the Great Hall. Even with people all around us, it still felt like stepping into a scene we'd watched so many times, and so many lovely memories. And then there it was, the Great Hall. The long wooden tables, the stone walls, the floating candles, the house costumes, and those tiny details that make the set feel so familiar. This is where the tour really starts to feel less like an exhibition and more like walking straight into the films. We stopped here for a proper look around, because everywhere you turn there is something to notice. The costumes, the table settings, the stonework, and the sheer scale of the room. Laurie was loving it, and honestly so was I. One of the things I loved most about the Great Hall area was seeing the actual costumes up close. Standing beside Hagrid, Dumbledore, Snape and Hogwarts robes really gave you a sense of scale, and a reminder that these weren't just characters on screen. They were carefully built through costume, design, performance and thousands of small details. As we moved further into the main studio area, the tour opened up into one incredible set after another. First came the Leaky Cauldron, one of those classic wizarding locations that connects the ordinary world with the magical one. The giant cauldron, the fireplace, the old barrels and the hand-painted details all reminded us how much work went into these sets, making them feel real. Nearby was the Leaky Cauldron bedroom, linked to Harry's stay after leaving Privet Drive. It's a quieter little set, but it still has that lived-in feeling, as if Harry has just stepped out for a moment and might come back at any time. And in the Leaky Cauldron bedroom, we found the Monster Book of Monsters, proof that in Harry Potter, even the textbooks can be dangerous. Then the mood shifted again with the educational decrees from Dolores Umbridge. These are such a clever visual reminder of how Hogwarts changes in Order of the Phoenix, when rules, control and fear started creeping into the school. From there we pass shelves of creature and character work, heads, busts, prosthetics and makeup pieces that show the practical side of the movie magic. It is easy to forget how much of the Harry Potter was not just computer effects, but sculpting, painting, moulding and handcrafted detail. It was just amazing. Everywhere you look, there are shelves of strange little details. Masks, models, creature pieces, props, and oddities that may only appear briefly on screen, but help make that wizarding world feel full and real. This is where you really start to appreciate the craft behind it all. And then came one of the most recognisable Hogwarts features, the moving staircases and the wall of portraits. Even standing still on display, they instantly bring back that feeling of Hogwarts being alive, unpredictable, and of course full of secrets. The wand display was another lovely detail. Each wand has its own look and personality, just like the characters who use them. It is a small prop, but in the Harry Potter world, a wand says so much. Laurie even bought a special wand, the Phoenix wand, which we have at home now. And finally, in this section, we found the Tri-Wizard Cup from the Goblet of Fire. It looks beautiful, but fans know it is also one of the great turning points in the story. The moment that takes Harry from a dangerous school tournament into something much darker. From the bright lights and props of the main studio floor, we suddenly stepped into something much darker, the Forbidden Forest. In the films, this is the place students are warned not to enter, and standing here you can see why. The lighting drops, the trees close in, and everything feels a little more dangerous. Of course, the real showstopper here is the giant spider. Fans will remember Aragog and the Acromantulas from the Chamber of Secrets, when Harry and Ron follow the spiders into the forest and quickly realise that might not have been their best idea. The detail is amazing. The webs, the legs, the eyes, the texture and the way the lighting makes it feel alive. It is creepy, clever, and exactly the kind of practical movie magic that makes this tour so much fun. After the spiders, the creature section kept getting better and more dangerous with the basilisk from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Seeing the head up closely really shows the practical work that went into the films. The teeth, the skin texture, the eyes and the sheer size of it make it feel properly threatening, even when it is sitting safely behind the scenes. And then after all that danger, we came to Dobby, one of the most loved characters in the whole series, and Laurie's too. Dobby starts as this strange little house elf causing chaos, but ends up becoming one of the bravest and most loyal characters of all. Of course, this was especially meaningful for us because later in the trip we actually went to Wales to visit Freshwater West, where Dobby's funeral scene was filmed. So this little stop at the studio tour became part of a much bigger Harry Potter moment for both of us. From there, the tour opened into one of the most spectacular sets of all, Gringotts Wizarding Bank. The marble columns, the chandeliers, the polished counters and rows of goblin bankers made this feel completely different from Hogwarts. It is grand, it's formal, and just a little bit intimidating, exactly how Gringotts should feel. The faces, ears, hands, costumes, desks, even the ledgers show how much practical detail went into creating the bank. Even the open account books make the place feel like it is still operating, as if someone has only stepped away from the counter. And then we move from the banking hall into the darker world below Gringotts, the tunnels, the vaults, and hidden chambers beneath the bank. The Lestrange Vault was one of the most impressive displays on the whole tour. Piles of cups, goblets, gold, silver and treasure fill the room, recreating the scene from the Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Harry and Ron and Hermione break into the Bellatrix Lestrange Vault. Fans will remember that the treasure is cursed to multiply when touched, making the whole scene more and more dangerous. Seeing it here in front of us, surrounded by all that glittering treasure, was a real wow moment, especially taking a photo of us right in the midst of it. And then the tour takes a much darker turn. This is the Magic is Might statue from the Deathly Hallows Part 1. It appears inside the Ministry of Magic after Voldemort followers have taken control. The statue shows muggles being crushed beneath witches and wizards, a chilling symbol of how twisted and dangerous the magical world has become by this point in the story. It's not a fun or colourful display, but it is one of the most powerful pieces on the tour. After some of the darker moments on the tour, it was nice to find a few lighter ones as well. The little magical details, the moving household props, the broomstick moment, and of course the famous blue flying car. This is the kind of thing that makes a studio tour so much fun. 1 minute you're looking at something serious and powerful, and the next minute you're grinning like a kid again. And of course, who could not resist a photo in the famous blue Ford Anglia, the flying car from the Chamber of Secrets. This was outside where you got your food and drinks if you needed to. And after the flying car, we found another magical way to travel, the night bus from Prisoner of Azkaban, a purple triple-decker rescue bus for stranded witches and wizards. What could possibly go wrong? One of our favourite areas on the whole tour was Dumbledore's office. Even before you step properly into the room, the entrance feels so special. Stone arches, carved details, and that sense that you are moving into one of the most important places in Hogwarts. Inside, the detail is incredible. The memory vials, the cabinets, the books, the portraits, the strange magical instruments, and the headmaster's desk all make the room feel full of history. We especially love the cabinet of memories. Each tiny bottle looked like it holds part of a story, and it really brings back the idea of the pensieve, looking back into moments from the past and understanding how everything connects. Dumbledore with all the previous professors over the years. Dumbledore's desk is one of those sets where every object feels like it has a story. The books, the chair, the globe, the lamp, forks nearby, and all the little magical details make it feel as though the headmaster has only just stepped away. And then beside it are the cabinets filled with strange instruments, devices and curiosities. Some are familiar, some are mysterious, but together they create that wonderful feeling that Dumbledore's office is part study, part lab, and part magical museum. From Dumbledore's office, we moved into another favourite area, Hogwarts Station and platform 9 3/4. This is one of those sets that instantly brings back the excitement of the early films. Trunks packed, owl cage ready, the red Hogwarts Express waiting at the platform, and that feeling that the school year is about to begin. Of course, we both had to have a go at the famous trolley through the wall photo. It's such a simple idea, but it still makes you smile because every Harry Potter fan has imagined running at that wall and disappearing through to the platform. One of the clever little displays also explains how the original effect was filmed. Rather than relying only on computer tricks, the filmmakers used practical camera work and set design to make it look as if Harry was really passing through the barrier. For us, this whole area was pure fun, bright, nostalgic, and one of those places where you really feel like you're a kid again and reliving those amazing memories. Before the colour and fun of Diagon Alley, there was still this darker reminder on the wall, the Undesirable No. 1 posters. It is a quick reminder that by the later films, the wizarding world is no longer just about school, sweets and spells. And then Diagon Alley opens up in front of you. The crooked buildings, hanging signs, glowing windows and narrow cobble street make it feel like you have stepped straight into the wizarding world. Laurie was right in the middle of it here, surrounded by shop fronts on both sides. This was one of those moments where we just wanted to slow down, look around and take in every little detail. The owl shop window was packed with cages, feathers and little details. Even a simple shop front feels carefully built, as if someone really could walk in and choose their owl before heading off to school. This was pure fun, a quick selfie in front of the brightest and most chaotic shop on the street. After some of the darker parts of the tour, this brought the mischief and colour right back. And of course, Diagon Alley would not be complete without Flourish and Blots. Seeing the display here also brought back memories of Professor Gilderoy Lockhart with his books and larger-than-life presence, making the shop feel even more connected to the films. Before the final castle reveal, the tour gives one last darker reminder of the series, the Dementors. Up close, they are horrible in the best possible film-making way. Ragged robes, skeletal hands, and that floating, lifeless shape that made them so frightening on the screen. This wider view was even more atmospheric, with the Dementor hanging above and casting that huge shadow below. It really shows how lightning, shape and movement can make something feel terrifying before it even gets close. Before the final Hogwarts reveal, the Dementor gives the scene one last darker edge. It reminds us that the story was never just about magic. It was about fear, courage, loss, and hope. And after all of that, Hogwarts still stands. And then came one of the most moving moments of the whole tour, the Hogwarts model. After seeing the sets, props, costumes and creatures, suddenly the whole school appears in front of you, and it really does feel special. For us, this was the perfect ending to the tour. After walking through the Great Hall, Diagon Alley, Gringotts, Dumbledore's office and all those incredible sets, finishing here with Hogwarts felt genuinely emotional. It was more than a display. It was the moment where the whole journey
And just
came
when
together.
we thought the tour was over, the magic followed us into the official photo studio. And there we were, two very happy Harry Potter fans, officially on the run from reality. Laurie was quickly identified as a witch of interest, and frankly, she looked far too pleased about it. Then it was straight onto the broomstick, where Laurie looked completely ready for a Quidditch final. From there she was off across the skies of Hogwarts, looking like she had been doing this for years. And even when the skies turned a little darker, Laurie still looked calm, confident and very much in control. Then came the night bus, fast, purple, unpredictable, and somehow still safer than some of our travel plans. And just when things looked peaceful, the Whomping Willow came into view and Laurie was flying straight into the action. Then it was my turn on the broomstick, and I think it's fair to say my Quidditch career may need a little more training. I also had a go at dodging trouble near Hogwarts, near the Whomping Willow, although I'm not entirely sure the broom was listening to me. And then the night bus arrived, which seemed like the perfect escape vehicle for two people who had clearly had far too much fun. By the end, even the Ministry had caught up with me. Undesirable number 1, although personally I think that's a little harsh. Oh, by the way, if the Ministry asks, you have not seen us.